back to Cap at Home Live. I'm Miss Van. Today we're going over a project called Elements of Art, Space, and Shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss some art terms including organic shape, geometric shape, landscape, foreground, midground, background, vanishing point, horizon line, and I'm sure it'll come to me. And for this project, we're just going to use some colored pencils and some paper. And if you need it, you'll want a pencil sharpener. And we'll also have to have a garbage can on hand if you have to sharpen your pencil. So here we go. My paper here is divided in 3 segments. I've got the background at the top, the midground in the middle, and the foreground at the bottom. So the foreground is going to be what's closest to me, and then the midground is going to be sort of the middle distance, and the background is going to be the stuff furthest off and away from the viewpoint. So as the artist, you're also kind of defining the viewpoint. The image that we're going to work on today is going to be the drawing of a landscape. So this is a landscape that I drew ahead of time, and so we're just going to focus on laying the groundwork so that in the next class I do on Thursday, we can add some watercolor to it and have a more detailed image. So this is going to be what we work on Thursday. Today we're just going to work on sort of laying everything out, getting the perspective, and getting all of the pieces where we want them. So I'm going to start by drawing a path, and I've got sort of an idea in my head for this sort of winding path. And it's going to go through the foreground, through the midground, and it's going to end at the background, which is also this line. This is also going to be my horizon line, and this is going to be the vanishing point. So a lot of times in one-point perspective drawings, you kind of go straight to the horizon, but in this one, the beginning is here, and then the vanishing point is over here, which just gives me the option to make sort of a longer drawing and kind of show more space. So this is my vanishing point, and I know the path will go beyond this point, like realistically, but this is just as far as your eye will be able to see. So to make it more interesting, I'm going to add some hills. And then I'm going to add some buildings far off in the background. And the buildings are going to be a geometric shape. So a geometric shape is anything that's man-made. So buildings, this pencil, a lamppost, those are geometric shapes because they are made to a certain size parameters. You know, you need rulers and foundation to make those shapes. So the buildings are largely cubed. So I'm going to give them a little bit of dimension by sort of giving them a 3-dimensional look. So by doing this, I'm adding an additional layer of depth to this drawing. And then I'm going to put like a little lighthouse here in the background. And I am changing the colored pencils that I select because that will help me remember what color I want things later when I paint it. I'm also not going to worry too much about erasing because as I color things in and then later when I add paint, you're not really going to see the lines that I don't emphasize with paint. So I've got some of my larger geometric objects in the painting. I'm going to add some trees. So I've got a nice brown to be sort of the bark of the tree. And I kind of like to work with the same color until I'm done with that color. That just kind of streamlines the drawing process. And since trees are sort of an organic shape, they are going to vary in size, but I am still trying to follow my spatial cues as to how big they are. So the one in the background is like much smaller than the ones in the midground. But still, like the largest object in the image that I'm drawing are the buildings. So those are still going to be relatively large even though they're furthest away. Now I'm going to add some smaller objects. I'm going to add some plants and I'm going to add maybe some grass and I'm going to add the foliage to the trees. I really like working with pencils and watercolor in the same image because there is a little bit of wax in pencils that act as a resist when you add the watercolor paint. So that way it still stands out, it's very bold and you can see it pretty well. So here's the foreground, and you can see I made the sort of leafy plants much bigger here, even though they are relatively smaller in comparison with the other objects. That just adds more depth to the image. Alright, now I'm going to add some other objects. I do plan on putting people in my image, but since they show more movement and require a little bit more detail, I'm going to save them for last. So I'm going to make this image a little bit more interesting and give them some things to interact with. Now I'm going to add a little bit more detail to the buildings. Alright, now I'm going to add some people. I'm mainly doing a landscape, so I'm not too worried about adding detail to my images, or to the images of my people, because they're only going to be about this big in my picture. Instead, I'm going to focus more on their movement. So the first person that I'm drawing is going to be someone walking a dog. So here we have that. And then I drew some boulders over here by the trees, and I'm going to draw people doing yoga on the boulders. So we have the background where the buildings are. We have the foreground, or the midground, where the trees are. And then we have the foreground where the figure here is the largest and the plants are the largest. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Join me this time on Thursday and I'll give you some tips for working with watercolor and some techniques, and we'll talk a little bit more about atmospheric perspective and some shading. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do a drawing for this video, please comment, post it in the comment section. Make sure you like and follow our page, and we'll see you next time.